All right, guys, today we're doing lesson 8.2, where we're going to be multiplying a monomial times a polynomial. It's pretty straightforward. You can also say a polynomial times a monomial. So let me just refresh your memory on the distributive property. So you guys have been doing distributive property for a long time. So if we have 10 times in parentheses x plus 5, you know you're going to distribute and multiply whatever's outside the parentheses by what's inside the parentheses, right? Drop down that sign here, and then 10 times 5, which is 50, and that would be our final answer. We can't really simplify that because there are no like terms, so that's a distributive property, just a quick refresher. But now we're going to go ahead and take it a little further, where we're actually going to multiply a polynomial times a monomial, and I'm going to start with this example. So we've got 6y times 4y squared minus 9y minus 7. Now the thing with this that you want to be really careful about are those subtraction signs. So change your subtraction to addition and put that negative sign with the term or number to the right of the subtraction. Okay, that helps us as we're going through it. Sometimes we have many monomials within the parentheses, so we want to be careful with that. So I would write all this out, 6 times 4y squared. So I'm going to do 6y times 4y squared, drop down that addition sign, and then do 6y times negative 9y, drop down that addition, and then we've got 6y times negative 7. So now all you have to do is go through and do the math. 6 times 4 is 24, y to the first times y squared is y to the third. Okay, drop your addition sign down. 6 times negative 9 is negative 54. Y to the first times y to the first is y squared. And then drop down that addition sign. 6 times negative 7 is negative 42. And we keep the y on there. Okay, so this is our answer. We can't simplify any further because there are no like terms. We have 3 terms in there and they all have different exponents for y. So that's it simplified. This is the first part of the lesson. Okay, so that's just showing when we multiply through once, one set of parentheses, but now we're going to see what it looks like when we have 2 sets of parentheses. It's honestly doing it twice and then just combining everything. So this one we are going to be able to add some things. So we start off with 3 times 2t squared minus 4t minus 15. Okay, but notice now I'm going to have another addition sign outside of the parentheses. And then I have 6t times 5t plus 2. Again, do the distributive property. So you see we have 2 sets. We have 1 set and then 2 sets. So do them both separately, and then you can combine them with that addition sign. So distributive property. Oh yeah, and change those signs if you need to, right? So plus 3 times negative 4t plus 3 times negative 15. Okay, and then I can come over here, put my plus sign, and now do 6t times 5t, and drop down that addition sign, and do 6t times 2. There's a lot going on here. So go back to the beginning and just simplify this first term. So this is 6t squared. Now move to this term. So plus negative 12t plus negative 45. So that was that first set. Now we're going to come over here, drop down that addition sign. 6t times 5t is 30t squared. And then drop that addition sign. This is going to give me 12t. Now this is where it gets kind of interesting because you want to go through and look for like terms. Remember, they have to have the same variable with the same exponent. So I have 6t squared and 30t squared, and I'm adding them both, right? So 36t squared, and feel free to cross them off when you're done. And then I've got negative 12t and a positive 12t. So what happens there? They cancel each other out. They're the exact same thing but opposite, so I don't have to do anything else with that. And then what do I have in the center that's left? Negative 45. There's our answer simplified. So that's what you're doing for the first half of the lesson. The second half of the lesson is doing the same kind of thing, but solving equations. So it's going to look like this, except for it's going to be set equal to each other. You're going to do the exact same thing. clear this off. So let's start off with this. Okay, so it's got a lot of different components going on here, but let's first start by changing any of the subtraction to addition and then changing that sign. This I'm going to leave it because it is -4. So when I start back at this side of the equation, I'm going to do distributive property here. So I got 12x plus x squared, right? And then here on the end plus -7. That's all I can do here. And then over here, I'm going to leave that 2x alone, and I'm going to come over here and do the distributive property. So this will end up being -4x plus x squared. Okay, so now I want to simplify if possible. And it looks like on the left side, I can't simplify anything. But on the right side, I can combine these two terms. So I'll just rewrite the left. And on the right, this will be -2x plus x squared. So now I want to solve. I got to get everything over on one side. So I'm going to just, since my -7 is here and I don't have any constant over here, I'm going to go ahead and just subtract both of these to the other side. And then see what happens. Okay, so I'm solving the equation, moving everything on one side and the constant on the other. We've been doing this kind of thing for a long time. This gives me -14x, and these end up canceling because they're the exact same thing but opposite. So now I just divide both sides by -14, and I end up with 1/2 is equal to x. And then you can go back and check that by substituting negative or positive 1/2 in for x to see if it works. So there's an example of how to solve when you're multiplying a polynomial by a monomial and it's an equation. So you basically want to multiply through and then just move things around. So if you have constant on one side and the variable on the other. Make sure that you read through the examples in the book if you're struggling with this, but I think you've got this. There's also some other videos that you're more than welcome to watch online. Good luck with lesson 8-2.